right, good morning everybody. You haven't seen it here in a little bit because I haven't made a video, but we got the fan, the ceiling, the lights, the plumbing, all that done and installed. It's all closed up. There's a big patch here because I forgot to connect that before I put this board up, but nothing you can't fix after. And today we are going to, first I have to plane this bad boy down because it's a little, see, it's sticking out a little bit and all the way down. So I'm just going to plane that down real quick and vacuum up because we're going to install the liner today. I'm going to put one more step up. So one more 2x on top of those three. Just one more because this base will be at least 2 inches high without the tile. So I don't want a tiny step. I want a decent step. So if that drain ever backed up, which it probably won't, there won't be an overflood out into the bathroom. So anywho, this is just screwed on. I'm gonna take this out, connect the pipe. That pipe moves around a lot, so it's gonna be very interesting trying to get it glued on without pushing it down, but we'll make it work, figure it out however we need to. Stupid blocks will just leave there because they are. Just make sure there's nothing sharp, like this old. And you really wanna, anything like that, smack flat. Anything that could be sharp, like little nails, little stuff like that can puncture your liner. So just smack it flat. Make sure if you run your hand across it, it's not gonna, you know, if it catches your skin, it's gonna catch some rubber and it could cut into it eventually. Just to be safe. I don't want this thing to be perfect. Anywho, so we're gonna get that liner in today. I'm gonna show y'all how I'm doing it. We'll go along, and it's really not rocket science, but you know, there are a few steps you need to do right if you want it to look nice over the years and to function the way it's supposed to. Because I might have mentioned this before. Actually, that's pretty great that way. This way, you see how it's the opposite. So I need to pre-pitch this side up. This way, same thing, pre-pitch on that back side. This side should be fine. Yeah, maybe a little pitch, because you want, I don't know, what do they say, quarter bubble? Yeah, that's what you want to see all the way around to the drain. Then and I'm going to do paper, this roofing paper. You can strip it out. First I'm going to put a full sheet, and then I'm going to strip it out. So it kind of like pyramids down a little bit. So if any water, if no water's going to get behind the actual liner, but if the liner were to just sit flat, perfectly flat, eventually water gets through the grout lines, through the stone, the sand mix, and just rest on the liner. And it'll never get above that lip and eventually work its way out to the drain because this has weeping holes around it. I don't know if you can see them, but they have them, these little holes. So you really want to do that right, because what will happen, like 10 years down the road, you'll see a kind of a fungus growing up through the grout, because that's the water that never gets out. So it's, you know, it's a live bacteria building up, and it slowly works its way. And every year you're going to clean it, every year it's going to come back. That's what causes that. The water never really gets out. You'll see it a lot in older homes because they didn't really care as much, because, you know, that's just how they worked back then. They didn't get paid enough to care. I mean, life was hard, so they did what they did. So anyway, we're going to do it right because we're going to do it up to code. Pre-pitch it. I pre-pitched it with sand. I've done a lot of different pre-pitch methods. This is just a quick, dirty, easy one. And again, we don't have a huge off bubble here. It's not like, whoa, that's got to be a fucking 3 inches over. I mean, it's a little bit, obviously. You can see it's a bit. Probably 1/4 inch. But that's just 2 strips of paper. 2 strips, 1 strip, no strip, you know what I mean? Bevel it down. And it'll be just nice. So we'll do that. Get her all done, get her all prepped, vacuum cleaned, sealed, and then I'll show you how we're gonna install the actual, take this cap off, and then we'll install this lower flange into the actual piping and glue it on down there. And then we'll put the cap and go step by step. Let's get in it. Now it's pretty even. All right, so now we have, I put in some extra blocking just for some added nailing, mostly in the corners, because this is just gonna be just fine as long as you pull it tight and you nail it. And I put the extra board on top. So we've got a proper step now. Remember, this floor is gonna be higher, whoop, up to there. So it's only gonna be about a 5-inch step. And the inside it'll be even smaller because I'm gonna go at least 2 inches on the rim. So it'll be up here and then the tile and then there's just that little step, you know what I mean? So, anywho, the base is in, so now we're gonna take out the drain. I'm gonna start to felt, put the paper down, tack it down, nail it down, whatever I gotta do to make our little pre-pitch, and then we'll get to the actual liner. Take a little tape off there. All right, still prime, still looking nice. That's gonna be my little piece I put in there. Again, you see all that flex? It's probably not too bad actually. You just need to be able to push this on. What I'll do is I will glue this guy first so it's sound, and then I can get in there and squish it on to where it needs to be and then screw it back down. But I'm going to take this top plate off first because it doesn't need to be there. This is the actual plate that clamps down the liner. See these? These are little weeping holes, and they go right back down into there, so water has nowhere to go but back to the drain. So you just loosen these. Comes right off. You see this channel? There's one on the back side. See the weeping hole now? So these press, or depress, into that channel. You want to add some adhesive there though. You don't want to just, I mean, you most likely get away with it and it won't really do much, but manufacturer recommendations are to put some adhesive in there and then bolt this bad boy down. And then you know it's going to be proper. And I prefer to leave the bolts there. So when you lay your liner on top, you know, when you push it down, you know exactly where your bolts are. Just, you know, put a Sharpie mark and drill a hole, whatever you want to do. Just don't make it too big. You want it to be relatively in there. It doesn't matter so much, but the neater it is, the better it is typically. Let's measure this, cut it, and we'll get this bad boy installed. See how start from the center, you drag out, and then you kind of nail. It just helps you get it flatter. It's really not the end of the world. There's going to be 150 pounds of shit on it, so it will flatten. There you go. Every little detail you get right just makes the end product that much nicer. That much nicer. Anywho, there's our protective layer. Now I can put in the drain. It'll go right in. We'll keep it straight. So when it goes down, it's gotta be able to go right where it's supposed to. Gotta be right, and if it just doesn't go right, well, that's gonna be a problem. About how far up is that? About an inch. Yeah, we got more than an inch to go down, so we're fine with that. I gotta prime that a little better. Not the end of the world, but I don't want to see spice where you're not supposed to see spice. Let that do its thing. I don't care how careful and how clean you are with these things. You always need channel locks to open them after you reuse them the first time. Keep that in mind, because it's a pain in the ass. And ideally, I'm going to put screws square with the actual room. Ideally, we got plenty to go down, so we're just going to squish, 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 get it down there, and then it'll be good to go. And then, when this is in there, the membrane goes on this level. And then the cap, like I said, to squish it in between, that line's really gonna water tighten with some adhesive as well. As well, folks. So let's do this. Brutus and Trutus. Remember, don't be shy with your glue, because you can't get back to this. The only way to get back to this is to tear open the ceiling downstairs. Which I am not going to do, folks. Alrighty, moment of truth. Perfect. Let it sit. It's nice and seated all the way down. Make it straight with the lines. And you're going to know it's straight here real quick, because my screw should go right back in its original hole. Bingo. Bingo. There you go. All right. Now you can see it is all glued up. The pipe comes up to this rim where it stops, and it's all the way to the stopper at the bottom. So you don't get more secure than that. Alrighty, folks. I didn't want to bore you with a nail and 1,000 nails, but there you go. As you can see, it's kind of pyramided up. I'll probably put one more tray right here, just so that lip kind of disappears a little bit. Let me show you why I do this. There you go. Quarter bubble on angle, square, quarter bubble, quarter again, quarter bubble. Just like that all the way around, so take my word for it. Actually, this side's perfect. This side's a little less, but it's fine. So take my word on that. Anywho, that's what you do. That's what I did in this situation. You could use a thin sand mix for a pre-pitch if you want. There's all kinds of ways to pre-pitch. This is just a quick and dirty and cheap way, because I have a whole fucking roll of this. So I don't want to just use a little. I'm going to put some down here as well, but still, it's a lot. So use what you have. It only makes sense. No reason to go buy something else. Anywho, that's the pre-pitch before we do the pan. Now it's all prepped to put the liner in, aka pan. And it's kind of cool. I've got these nice little corners because obviously that corner gets folded, that corner gets folded, but these, being there's a ledge here, you have to cut. So this side will be cut, it'll lay over, so there'll be like a split in that seam. But when you have these little prefabricated bad boys, you glue them onto that seam right there, and it's 100% watertight. Pretty sweet, right? Because the door is going to be dead center. So if anything got in here, it would get past the stone. It would get on past the stone, backer board, all, even though it's never going to. If it ever did, it would hit this bad boy, roll off, and be in the pan 100%. So those are pretty cool. I'll have one on each corner. Pretty sweet. They're like a couple bucks. Buy it if you can. It's just worth it. You know, little doodads like that help out. Somebody was thinking when they made those things, so let's use their intelligence to our advantage. All right, next step will be the liner, folks. I'm not sure if I can film while doing it, but I'll show you the aftermath at the very least, because this is a small bathroom and, well, there's nowhere to stand. It even feels better in here now, actually. You can feel the slight pitch. Be surprised how sensitive your feet can be to certain things, especially when you wear skateboard shoes to work. It's pretty good, pretty damn good. Again, I'm gonna put another strip right here, but I'm not gonna bore you with that. And then make sure every single nail head has nothing sharp, nothing weird. Any bubbles like that, it doesn't mean anything, because all the weight, I'm gonna use 2.5, maybe 3 bags of 60-pound bags of sand mix. So when that's on the liner, it's just gonna compact everything perfectly flat, so there's no issues. It'll be a little annoying when you do the liner, but again, it's gonna stretch tight. Those liners are meant to stretch, and they'll stretch nice and tight, and it'll be beautiful. Because realistically, when you put the liner in, I mean, I will most likely put a nail here, most likely. I don't go further than that though. I mean, there's guys that never put nails, not even on the top. They'll put nails on the back side. To each their own. If I put a nail, I put a little piece, I glue it right over the nail, because they have liner glue specifically for this. Where's that at? Excuse me. Liner glue. So that's the adhesive for that. So this will make all the rubber stick like really good. I've seen guys put it down here too, but I don't like doing that. It is what it is. I like to use the silicone there. Just squishes out, works better in my opinion. And when the silicone's in a track, it can never really come out. So it's like it's like a snake of water sealer. Anywho, I'll do that last step. I'll show you the nailing process, the liner process, and then we can start actually getting boards on the walls today after I get some food in my belly. See you then. Just a little pro tip here. These liners always come rolled up, so there's always fucking creases everywhere. It is a nice sunny day. I'm gonna lay it out there nice and flat while I take my lunch, and the heat's gonna hit this bad boy for a good half an hour. And it'll help a little bit probably, just to get these lines out of there. A little bit. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't really fucking matter. Because when you have 120 pounds of sand and stone on it, it'll lay flat. So this is what I really wanted to show you. Now you can see the actual system and how it works. This is a great little graph. You see, that's their pre-pitch. That's the liner. It goes up the wall, obviously. Squished in between the drains, bolted down. It's a little not true because that flange doesn't exist, and whatever, it's okay. But that's the pre-pitch, that's the pitch after, and then the thin set, and then stone. So it's a pretty sweet layout. Like if you're like me, you could just look at a picture and then do it. This is like invaluable. So it really shows you the system. The liner goes over the studs and down. They use 3, I'm using 4. Not a big difference, not a big deal. I want a bigger step than that. But there's the system if you don't know. Pretty cool, right? They really thought that through. Good engineering there. Anyway, this is a 6x10. It's way more than I need, so I'll cut it up when I'm in there. But let's go lay it in the sun so it gets flat and get a little bit of that chemical smell out of it, because it does smell like shit. All right, you're interrupting my Rammstein so I can show you how to do this. As you can see, here's my curb. You just throw it in there. I put the print up. I don't think you have to. It doesn't matter. I just use the lines for reference. I'm sure that's why they're there, right? So, just flop it in so it's square. And when it overlays, you want to see roughly the same amount in every corner. Roughly. It's not the end of the world. I mean, this is going to be like 8 inches up. It's more than enough. You don't even need that much. So, use it. I cut about 1.5 feet off this. No, excuse me. Let's see what I cut. That much. How much? That much. So I cut a foot strip off of it because I didn't need it for my application. Except, of course, if I need pieces to glue on anywhere for whatever reason. I'll show you later. First step, throw it in there. Get your angles, your corners even, your sides even. See the bolts now? You can see the bolts. What I'm going to do is take this bad boy, throw it exactly where the bolts are supposed to be. Gonna mark the bolts with a Sharpie. I'm gonna cut out the center. Then I'll have that perfect. Then I throw back one side, a little adhesive, and we'll go from there. Careful. You fuck up, you fuck up. Can't see around your hand, go to the other side. You don't want to fuck up. See how it gets away from you when it starts going too fast? When you're not in control, that's what happens. You can easily slide and go way off, and then you're buying a new liner. So that has to be able to push in. It's okay if that folds back a little bit. It's actually preferred. Because remember, these are the weeping holes. So if anything ever is going to get to this point, you really want it to get, I mean, it just has to go that way. Anywho. And the holes are just that. I leave the nut and score the top of it, kind of like gliding along. At least that's what I'm doing now. I'm sure I've done it different in the past. Just like that. Because then you can take the nut out. Always close your blade if you're going to put it down. Trust me, you'll nick this so quick, and you know, that's an issue. I wouldn't do, yeah, that's why I wouldn't do that. Goodbye, nut. So I'll have to get another nut. That's why you don't do that, folks. Anywho, I just wanted to show you that you can still pop it through and it's nice and tight, and you can go right on the threads. So Don't do it that way. Take the nuts off. Fold this back and take the nuts off, because you'll do something silly like I did. It's not a big deal. I'll get another nut. I'll do the rest now. So now that everything's cut, you use your fucking head. Just fold it over. Then you can back those nuts out that you need. And try not to drop them. No! Put them to the side. It's obviously advantageous to just throw a big napkin in the hole or something like that. Paper towel to block it, or plastic bag. But you know, sometimes we're stupid. I got 3 of the 4. Toss her back over. And now you can work. Alright. Line it up, make sure it's good. Get your nuts to the side so they're safe. So you can see now, you can see all the brass inserts there. Oh, I don't know if they're brass, they're probably electroplated brass, but whatever. They're there. So now you know it's all good. You can test fit if you want to, doesn't matter. We're gonna fold it back over, put a bead of silicone or adhesive, throw it on, then put our plate. All right, we got adhesive fully in the track, and you make sure, I like to peel it back just to make sure I had full contact. It wasn't tight yet, obviously, but it's good to know in case you miss something. Throw it back flat. Now we can get the bracket and the bolts on and wrench it down, and then we'll know 100%. Now I have to start the bolts first. Get it 100%, cranked down, start your bolts, because these have the slide-in track. It's pretty damn convenient. Make sure they're in there. Obviously we're missing one. It's not the end of the world, but I will take after I wrench it down, I'm going to take one of these bolts out and put it in there to make sure silicone or whatever does not cure in that hole, to make it hard for me to put a bolt on in the future. So now you can throw this bad boy on. See how it slides in those grooves as it should be, 100% perfect. I mean, before you clamp this thing down, you really want to try and flatten it out. You know, it's going to look off if it's off, so let's just make it as square as we can get it. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but I want to be able to wrench this bad boy down, not have any weirdness going on. So now that that's done, I can find my crescent wrench. There you are. Now we can tighten this all down. Even with that bolt missing, there's gonna be a lot of force on this side, so it'll be just fine. It's not the end of the world, or world, if you're in the northern regions. So wrench it down by hand first, just to get it started, make sure it's flat, all that good stuff. Again, don't ever put sharp tools on this, ever. Something can fuck up at will in life, so let's not ask it to. So now we're gonna wrench these bad boys, and you're not cranking these things on, people. You're just, you're snugging it. Just tucking her in for the night. Now that that's basically on there, it's not really, I'm gonna tighten it more than that, but as I said before, and I sure hope I don't drop another nut and record it, that'd be hilarious. So I'm just gonna try and get this guy on here as well, because I wanna make sure that hole doesn't cure with anything in it. The rubber's not a big deal. I can cut out any excess that's may be in my way. Like that one is nice and clear of anything. So I can just leave that one open, tighten this bad boy, and leave this as its new home, and come back with a new nut. And it won't be the end of the world. Tightened up pretty good already. See that little lip? Yeah. So there you go. Now you guys know how to put one of these in if you haven't. don't know how to put one in, well, maybe you'll talk shit about this one. Time will tell. It's all good though. You can see the pressure of the silicone packing up right there. You see that? So we know it got everywhere, which is good. So now I'm gonna start, I'm not gonna record this part just because it's a pain in the ass, but I'm gonna start stretching and folding. These will overlap and be tacked in, and you'll see the end result. Alrighty folks, there's your pan. Well, this is the final step. Obviously you fold it over and you nail it. Now you're gonna see all these kind of ripples because when the weight of the sand is in here, it disappears. So don't sweat that stuff. Just, you know, push it down before you screw the boards on because you don't want to have too much tension in that corner. Not that it'll really hurt much, but don't do it if you don't have to. Now these corners, now you can see the purpose of those things. You put a piece first behind it to cover up, glue it down, nail on top. You could put nails back here, it's not an issue because you're gonna glue this bad boy over. And then you glue that little corner in. And it's a pretty sweet, tight little seam. Obviously that's folded over, there's a angle right there. So it's not gonna happen, but if it flooded this high and it got somehow back behind there, at least just over the edge, it'll catch and work its way back into that channel rather than going in the wall. But that ain't ever gonna happen. If it does, you got bigger problems. And this side's the same, glued on. So now we let this cure, protect it, like put a bunch of cardboard on top because I have to work in here and walk in here, so then I can start putting the boards. But I'm gonna start this guy now. We'll see how it goes. Super important. Protect it. Again, I'm going to be putting boards up here. I'm going to be standing here a lot before I can actually get the sand basin, so that really needs to be protected. I don't want to puncture it. So now I can walk on it freely without any nerve being pushed. Alright, so now I'm going to felt this and screen this, I believe, next. Get it prepped for the pour. Because I need to put the walls in first before the pour, obviously, because it'll just pour out. You know, self-leveling cement just pour right down there and woohoo, bye-bye. So I'm gonna mesh it out first, get it looking the way it needs to, prep it, put the mesh on, all that good stuff, and then I can start putting the bottom layer of boards everywhere. Because that's how I'm gonna start this process. We'll see. All right, there's the paper down. I mean, if it's flat, don't worry. I only put nails where I had to. Don't worry about wasting your nails because I'm gonna put the mesh right on top. The nails are gonna go right through both, so conserve. Only have that much anyway. So yeah, you're gonna have to nail it down regardless, so don't waste your fucking nails because you wanna double it up. Let's get the mesh down, see how that goes. All right, just to make sure, I just threw the old valves back on real quick, just to make sure there's no leaks. Purged all the pipes, got the air out of them, and it's dry as a bone. That's the only one I was worried about anyway. Sweated the rest. I don't worry about sweats, because they don't leak if you don't forget them. If you don't forget them like I did over there. That's funny. Anyhow, good to go. Super sturdy too. All right, so now we can 100% start putting boards on the wall. No issues, sweet. Alrighty folks, that's the first row of the lower boards. I'm gonna tear these stickers off because mortar won't stick to stickers. But that's how you see you can do it. These corners, you have to bevel them because there's always gonna be a bow in these corners from the wrap. So you're gonna make up that difference even here. You can slightly see there's a little bit of a bow here because this drops way back compared to here because there's so much of material stacked together right here. So that difference will be made up with the mortar and the tile. The tile will be straight, obviously, so the tile will be tight here with a thicker mortar base on this side. So that's not an issue. Same thing with this, you want to shave these corners in a little bit when you put them in so you're not digging into the membrane and stuff and as your pressure points. And this is a little life tip here. If you have a cat in the house, shut or barricade it so they cannot get in here because they will turn that in. You can see what he's been doing here. So anything that's could be a scratching post, he'll make one. So just obviously this is covered from my feet, but I'm gonna put a Durock board right here and put a tub against it so it's safe for the night, because I'm done for the day. So yes, please protect your workers. Your heart would sink out your ass if you came in here and you saw claw marks all over the rubber and everything. You'd have to take it all out and start over. And that would not be fun. So just keep that in mind, people. All right. All right, everybody, we're back and we're putting boards on the walls. Make sure everything's fine. Those valves actually don't work so great, so I had to put these back on temporarily because there was a drip coming out and I had to cap everything. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. It's just a drip, so it's not like it's gonna be pouring out. And I double checked before I start closing up this wall. Cap that bad boy properly. Test all the functions, flow the pipes. I already checked it, but you know, just double check. Last thing you want to do is open up this fucking wall when there's tiles on it, because you can't get to the backside. So now there's peace of mind there. Just continue rocking these walls out. I'll show you when it's done. A little too curious to see how one of the fixtures are going to work. It's kind of pretty cool. Obviously that space will be made up by the tile. I'm all focused, buddy. There you go. Yeah, it'll be made up by the tile. It's about 3/8 right there. So I have play to go back and forth with this because this comes with extensions. So pretty cool. It's gonna look cool. One on the bottom. Again, this little plate tells you where to stop, not where the finished wall should be. So after the thin setting tile, that's gonna be bang on. So it's exactly what I wanted. It's like to double check these things as I go, because this is the last option to fix that if it was off the last time. Because obviously this board's going on and we're going to continue on through. So it's pretty cool. All right, super important when putting boards on. Obviously there was plumbing here. I know where everything's at because I did everything. There's a pipe here, so I marked it. Same thing up here. If your screw could just hit it, like that would just pierce it if I accidentally buried it in the board, you know what I mean? And that would hit there. Not that I'm gonna put a screw there anyway, but just be mindful. Mark all your pipes. Pretty simple. Pipe, right? Now you know not to fucking put screws here at all. You just screws, and down the joist. The studs. Just to be safe. Everything's perfect. Don't fuck it up now. Alrighty, folks, we are rocked out. Let's stand back here a minute so you can see it all rocked out. There's going to be a Schluter in this corner. Outlet. I'm going to change that because it bothers me. Out the curb. Now I know there's screws into the curb, but don't worry about it because this gets covered. This gets covered with the water sealant. I don't know, I don't like putting screws in it either. On the inside, they're nice and high though. Everything in these lines are because we were deciding about the if we're gonna do staggered or straight for the grout lines, and then we decided straight because the floor is gonna be straight. So when I get back in here, I'm gonna start thin setting and meshing these seams and the corners and all the heads and everything. Get it prepped, and then I'm gonna have to water seal this whole thing. Then I can get the floors done. Cause I like to water seal my boards all the way down and then put my base so there's no way to water to get back in behind the board, even though it's not gonna go anywhere because it's gonna be hitting the actual liner comes up to here, so a little higher actually. So it'll be sweet. So all the real prep, the only other thing I really have to do besides, well, the only really other thing I have to do here, period, is I have to put some protection around here and glue it in. Because when I pour, I don't want it all to go down that hole, obviously. So that's no biggie. I will silicone that on, and a silicone caulk, whatever, and caulk all this backer board bottom base, just so the self-leveling doesn't just work its way under and land up on the ceiling downstairs, you know what I mean? Because that would be really a bummer. So everything's going pretty sweet in here. I'm happy about everything so far. It's nice to get these walls closed in. Again, I'll do the second coat for that ceiling. Fix all these patches and have to touch up around here a little bit. That was just the base coat, just plump it in there, you know. And those are all threaded on and watertight, so I'm gonna leave it like that to make sure everything's safe. Everything's tested, everything's secure. All right, folks, well, until I get back in here, thanks for watching.